ATL Jacob.
ATL Jacob, ATL Jacob.
He has produced some of the biggest records in this generation and obviously works with the biggest rappers in this industry right now. And today I'm going to show you a lot of strategies and tricks he uses to make his beats so unique and how to make simple dark beats really hit.
How y'all doing? I go by ATL Jacob.
And he's the head behind Future's production and many other rappers' productions. And as I said, he really works with the best of the best and the biggest of the biggest. And today I'm gonna show you all 2 beats and 2 samples I made that are really simple but really match his vibe and his bounce and obviously his style. So if y'all don't want to miss it, make sure to watch till the end and don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe to the channel. And thank y'all for going so crazy on the last video. I really appreciate that. And if y'all got some time, make sure to check out Lucaland, my own kid store. I have a special offer for you. It's a 15% discount when you just go on the site. And I don't want to keep the intro too long because y'all told me I talked too much in the last video. So yeah guys, let's get into it.
My brother Future couldn't be here right now. He'll probably pull up a little later, but he's definitely grateful for this.
So there we are on the FLP, and I use analog lab for the first pattern, and it's the airwalk lead. And as you can see, it's a very simple pattern. I basically just strummed these notes. I strummed the D to an F, the F to an F sharp, the F sharp to an G sharp, and the G sharp to an A sharp, and then just copied it over. And I'm gonna show you all the effects right away because I have this portal on there with the dystopian preset and this EQ where I just cut out some of the lows, and the effect chain makes a huge difference. So I'm gonna first play this pattern without the effects, and then after that with the effects. Basically I'm gonna show you all the rendered out version. And as I said, it makes a huge difference and makes this lead sound so crazy in like one click basically with just adding this portal. But first of all, this is the pattern without the effects. And as you can see now, I'm gonna turn this portal on, but I don't really have to because I rendered it out already, as you can see right here. And I pitched it down by 3, put the mode to stretch, the declicking mode to generic, and I just chopped it up and basically just like copied it over. And this is like a very ATL Jacob type of main melody, and I added onto it, which I'm gonna show you all after that. But first of all, the rendered out version is sounding like this. So yeah, it's very simple but still sounds kind of trippy, I would say, and it's a perfect main melody to build off of. So I used this analog lab right here with the bubbles preset, and as you can see, I basically just laid down some very simple chords right here, which contains a low C and G and then a high C, and then just copied it over and pasted these notes. Basically put the G right here to a G sharp and then to a G again, and the same thing with the notes on the bottom. And this is just because I wanted to get some variation in the sample, because it wouldn't sound that nice if it just sat at the C and this G. So I basically just switched it up a little bit, and the finished pattern is sounding like this. So as you can hear, it gives it like a little evil feeling, and that's what I wanted to go for. And then for the effects, I have this portal with the Prophet 2 preset on there, then this simple soothe on its hard setting and the depth to 3.0, and then just this EQ where I just cut out some of the lows. And then after that, I went into my Starstruck multi-kit, which you can see right here, which is available on Lucaland as we speak. And as I said, if you want a 15% discount code, make sure to check the website out. And I went to this kit, went to live phrases, and went to the burn guitar phrase. And as you can see, it looks very simple, and it is really simple, but I'm gonna play it for y'all so you can just get a hang of what it sounds like without the effects and without me chopping it up. But then I just added some effects, which is this Valhalla vintage drop with these settings right here, this simple soothe on its hard setting and the depth to 6.7, this EQ where, as you can see, I cut out a lot of the lows and a lot of the highs just to get it more to the background, and I had it 19% in mono. And as you can see, I chopped it up really heavy. I basically just lined these clips up. It's just this note right here, then these 3 notes, then again 1 note and 2 notes, and then I just copied it over the whole time. And the chopped up version of the burn guitar phrase out of the Starstruck multi-kit is sounding like this. And then before I get to the drums, I will show you all the bass line. And the bass line is this bass which is named Source out of Analog Lab again. So Analog Lab is a really good plugin for making like these type of beats or like these type of samples specifically. And as you can see, I just went with the root notes from the main melody, and it's the C and then goes up to an G sharp and then to an G. And I have this D sharp note just to basically transition into the higher notes or then the lower note. And it's really, really simple, and the finished bass line is sounding like this. And for the effects, I have this Sooth on there, this R compressor stereo just to compress the bass a little bit, then this decapitator with the drive to about 2.5, the tone a little bit too dark and the style to E. Then this free fast distortion completely on its default settings, because ATL JACOB really likes to use like these muddy or like distorted basses in the samples. Then this simple EQ where I just cut out some of the muddy lows and some of the highs, and I had it 100% in mono. And now let's go on to the most important thing, the drums. And now for the beat breakdown, the first thing I obviously did was dragging in the sample, and I just pitched it up by 1 just because I like the root notes more. And for the hi-hat pattern, I tried to make it a little bit more busy, and as you can see, I have some low rolls right here and some rolls right there, and then like just some like really short rolls and just some simple lower notes. And then I just copied it over, switched it up at the end though just for some variation. And for this roll right here, I played with the velocity, so I basically just like faded it out, and that's really all I did for the hi-hats. And the finished pattern is sounding like this. And I forgot to say I used the Luca Beautiful hi-hat, and for the mixing on my drums I just have this simple EQ on there because these drums are already mixed, so you don't have to do anything to them besides maybe cutting the lows just so that it don't clash with the bass, and just to level it, which is basically bringing down the volume or like adjusting the volume to just make the beat sound really nice. Then for the next thing, I have this new snare clap out of my Starstruck multi-kit again, and I just laid down the basic clap pattern which sounds like this. Then for the next thing, I obviously had to use the ATL JACOB snare because the snare sounds like this. And this is one that ATL JACOB used to use a lot of the times, or basically still uses to this day. And all I did was just having some accent snares and like their roll and their roll. And I'm gonna let it play with the hi-hat pattern and the clap pattern so y'all can get a hang of the bounce. And the snare pattern with the claps and the hi-hats is sounding like this. Then for the next thing, I have the Luca wrapped open head, and as you can see, I just placed it right here and then just copied it over. But right here I deleted it because it didn't really fit. And I have the Rex edit open head, which basically always plays on the 1 and then just acts like some accent notes, and these two patterns together are sounding like this. And now obviously for the most important thing, I have this 808 pattern right here. And as you can see, I just went with the root notes of the sample. So I had these C notes right here, which are very simple because as I said, I was trying to make the hi-hat pretty busy. So I left the 808s a little bit more simple besides at the end. Then I went to this D sharp, then to an G sharp, and then to an G. And as you can see, I have these two notes right here and this one note right here. So it gets like a little bit more busy at the end, but it really, really sounds good. And that's all I really did for the beat. And now I'm gonna play all these 16 bars right here. And the first finished beat in ATL JACOB style, or like in the style of ATL JACOB, is sounding like this. And because I forgot to say it in the video, I'm gonna show you all the second beat right now, like basically the preview. So here's beat number 2 in ATL JACOB style. And then for the next sample, as you can see, it has 4 different parts, basically 3 different parts for the sample, and then like just a little lighter section, which is not that full, which is a little bit more empty. But I started off with this addictive keys right here with the Arena Ballad preset, and I'm going to show you all the effects, or basically how I tweaked it so y'all can just copy it. And these are the settings I use. And I laid down this pretty simple pattern, which as you can see, it contains very few notes. I basically went from this D to an F and A, and then to an A sharp, D, G, and then I went up to an, I think that's called a diminished minor chord, and then I I just copied the D over, went to an F and an A again, then again this diminished E minor chord, and then I just copied this D over, had this F chord again, then I had the diminished minor chord again, which basically transitions into the F and A chord again, and then I just copied it over, as you can see right here, and I have this EFX fragments on there, which basically half times everything. And this EQ just to cut out some of the lows. And I'm gonna show y'all the piano right now. It's very, very low, but I'm gonna show y'all how I processed it after I play it. And the piano is sounding like this. So I basically rendered it out and pitched it up by 12 and then by 9, so basically by 21. And I lowered the volume to about half and the declicking mode to generic, the mode to stretch. And as you can see, I played with the time knob. So I basically put it from 8 bars to 4 bars and then it just looked like this basically. And as you can see, I basically put it on the same mixer track, which is the second one. And then I went up, rendered it out and had the rendered out version right here. I just put the mode to stretch, the declicking mode to generic and put it on the third mixer track. And on the third mixer track, there's this simple delay just to make it sound more vintage. Then this delay, because as you can see, I chopped it up, so it basically doesn't sound that empty right here. Then this Valhalla vintage verb where I tweaked the mix, the pre-delay, the decay and the low cut. And this simple EQ where I just cut out some of the lows and ducked some of the frequencies that were too harsh. And yeah, as I told y'all, I chopped it up and I haven't vocal playing when the piano isn't, but I'm gonna show that to y'all after I preview this piano, and the finished piano is sounding like this. And now for the vocal, I picked this one, which is called Vocal FX Friday. And I put the declick mode to generic, the mode to stretch as always. And I had these effects on there, this for the delay too with these settings. This for the reverb where I played with the bass, the decay and the wet knob. Then this soothe on its hard setting and the depth to 4.9. Then this EQ just to cut out some frequencies that were way too harsh. And this EQ where I just cut out another frequency that I didn't really like. And I cut out some of the lows and some of the highs just to duck it a little bit more into the background. And I did 12% in stereo. But then before I show y'all the vocal, I will show y'all these perk loops right here, or like basically in simple method to make your samples sound more full in selected areas. So as you can see, since the piano stops playing right here, I have this robotic perk loop and this shake perk loop out of my Vital multi-kit, which will drop next month at the beginning of next month. And as you can see, I basically just chopped it up that when the piano stops playing, these perk loops start playing, and then when the piano starts playing again, the perk loops basically stop. And this throughout the whole sample, and it just makes the sample sound way more full in, like as I said, selected areas. And for the vocal, it's very simple. I did the same thing as in the perk loop sections. I basically just have it playing when the piano isn't playing, or like the most present parts are playing when the piano isn't playing. Now I'm gonna show y'all the vocals with the perk loops, and the vocals and the perk loops together are sounding like this. Then I had this German summers texture out of the Vital multi-kit, which is basically just like a vinyl crackle. And as you can see, I lowered the volume by a lot, and I don't think I have to play it to y'all. I think y'all know how a vinyl crackle sounds like. And then again, since I have a second and a third part, and the piano still stops playing in the second part, I have this vocal right here, which I just pitched up by 12, and I have the same effects on that and on the first vocal. The declick mode is to generic and the mode to stretch, and the second finished vocal is sounding like this. And then for the third part, I have this electric guitar phrase, and the declick mode is to generic again, the mode is to stretch again, and for the effects I have the same effects on that and on these vocals, because it just basically fitted. And this guitar reminded me a lot of like Future's melodic songs, or basically ATL JACOB's melodic beats. And I chopped up the guitar like this again, like when the piano isn't playing, the guitar starts playing and vice versa. And the finished guitar with the perk loops is sounding like this. And now before I show y'all the finished beat, I have the Mini V3 with the 3x oscillator preset, which is basically in bass, which sounds really, really nice. And I have this B to an D to an G and then to an C sharp, and then I just copied it over. And for the effects on the bass, I had the same effects on there that I had it on the first bass in the first sample. So I won't show it to y'all so we can get to the beat faster. And the finished bass line is sounding like this. And now for the second beat in turbo style, I just basically dragged in the sample. I put the trim up to 100%, declick mode to generic, mode to stretch, and I started off with the hi-hats, which is a 2-step hi-hat pattern. I don't really have to show to y'all. It's with the hit hi-hat too, so it's simply the most basic hi-hat pattern that you can think of. But then for the interesting part, I have this wait for you snare, which I basically just put together, and it sounds like this. and it's probably not 100% the snare from Wait For You, but it's really accurate in my opinion. And as you can see, I have this default clap pattern, but I added some like filler notes just to get like a good bounce going. And as you can see, the highlighted notes right here are the filler notes, and I load the velocities just like a little bit, just so they get separated from each other. And since I have like the most basic hi-hat pattern ever, I wanted to get a bounce going with the snares, so I did. And I'm gonna show you all the hi-hat and the snare together, and both these together are sounding like this. And then I have this Jacob snare again, and what I basically did was copying the snare from the Wait For You snare and pasting it onto this pattern right here, and together they sounded like this. So it basically gives the Wait For You snare just a little bit more depth. And then I have this Wheezy open head, which always plays on the 3, and the 808 open head, which always just has like this little rhythm. I made it really quiet though, and both of these together are sounding like this. And now for the bass line, I use this bold color bass, and I basically just went with the notes that are on the bass line from the original sample. For the second part, I just created like a little bounce with them. And then I have this kick pattern right here, which gives the whole beat way more bounce, or like the bass line way more bounce. And I have the Spins 808 right here, which as you can see follows the same notes that the bass line follows, because that's obviously the root notes, and we want to go for the root notes. But it's really important to do this to switch up your beats, because that's what ATL Jacob does a lot, because that's basically what keeps the listener hooked. And as you can see, it's a very simple pattern again, because the snare and the hi-hats together are giving like so much bounce with the open heads as well. I just switched it up a little bit in the second part just to get the listener like a little bit more hype for the next part, and the bass, the kick and the 808 together. So basically the full beat now is sounding like this. So yeah guys, if you all enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to this channel. It would really help me, and it really means a lot. And if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a comment on things I could improve for the next video. I would really appreciate that, and it would really help me. And if you haven't already, please make sure to check out Lucaland. The link for that is in the description. I would really appreciate that as well. And as I said, you will get a 15% discount code on every kit you can think of. So with that being said, thank you for going so crazy on the last video. I really appreciate that. And if y'all watched till the end, DM me on Instagram and I will send y'all 10 samples for free, including these two on this video. And as I said, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe and to comment. And yeah guys, see y'all next Sunday.